Well, because I didn't do the last two lessons. I mean, it's really one lesson, but because I'm not doing that one on the test, there's no need for those 2 extra days. So, otherwise, and now unless I just add more stuff to your test, or we can just go ahead and take it and make it a shorter test, and get it over tomorrow. Now, anything to the 0 power is 1. So everybody should have gotten that one. That was just like your quiz, right? So anything to the 0 power is 1. If you put that in your calculator with the parentheses, just like they have it, it would tell you it's 1. Are we good with that? Yes. Okay. Now the next one, I have a negative, and then I have 4 to the negative 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring out my negative. Now, what happens with that 4 to the negative 2?
It flips.
It goes to the bottom down here. Does everybody understand that? Why did the 4 to the negative 2 go to the bottom? Because it was had a negative exponent. So then I get 1 over 4 squared, and it has the negative sign. So which one is that? Anybody know which answer choice that is? D. It's D. Because it has the negative sign, that one was a little trick, okay? Does anybody not understand that one? Are we good with that? Yes? Negative exponent, you move it, but the negative out front, just make sure you keep the negative out front. Okay? Number 3 is the same rules. If it has a negative exponent, you move it. Which one of those has a negative exponent? What is it, 8, the G, or the D? G. So what moves to the bottom? The G. So the 8D to the 6th, it stays up here, and G squared, it moves to the bottom, so it becomes positive. So does everybody understand why it's D? I just moved the G squared to the bottom. We're okay with that? Okay. On number 4, what stays?
3.
The 3. What else stays?
B.
The B. So what moves? A, and it becomes a positive 9. Okay? Are we okay with that one? Yes? All right. So far, so good? Yeah? All right. The next one, I'm going to move my variables first, and then I'll plug in numbers. Okay? I'm going to zoom in just a little. So I have 4. What do I do with that x to the negative 3? I would move it down here. Do we understand that? I'm right here. I would move my x to the negative 3. What about y to the 3rd? It stays, right? Because it had a positive exponent. Any questions so far, Shay? You got that?
Yes, ma'am.
I see you pointing to your head. Figured you got it. Okay.
I was telling based on which one.
Yeah. Now, what do I do from here? Is everybody okay with me moving the variables? Yes? Now, I'm going to plug in the numbers. So for x, what am I plugging in? 3. And for y, I'm plugging in negative 1. So let me do that. I have negative 1 to the 3rd, and then I have 3 to the 3rd. All I did was I changed my numbers. Any questions so far? Now let me just figure out what those numbers are. So what is negative 1 to the 3rd power? It's negative 1. Type it in your calculator if you need to, okay? Highly recommend using the calculator to check yourself. What's 3 to the 3rd power? 27. So can you tell what your answer is going to be? They have answer choices. I have 4 times negative 1. What's that? So I have a negative 4 over 27. And that answer is B. So that's probably the hardest one so far, right? Yes, no? We've got this. We're going to do great. We're not? Okay, number 6, they just want you to write that base, but combine your exponents. What is the base in number 6? 8. And then what would my exponent be? What's 8 plus 4? 12. That's all they want you to do. They just want you to write your base one time and change your exponents. Is everybody good with that one? Now on the next one, what's my base? -5. And then what would my exponent be? What's -5 plus 6? 1. Which one of those is -5 to the 1 power? A. That's -5 written once. That's what that means. -5 one time. So that one was A. Okay, number 8. What is 2 times 5? 10. Y'all had me worried for a second there. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, now let's look at our B's. I have -1 plus 10. How many is that? 9. 10b to the 9th. Okay, remember, we would just add the exponents. Whenever you're multiplying, you add the exponents. Okay, is everybody good with that one?
Hey, have your attention. I need Tanner Carlisle to check out, please. Tanner Carlisle.
I saw that yes motion. Okay. Tanner, it will be recorded if you need it, okay? All right. On the next one, what's 2 times 5? 10. Again, we have 10. Now let's look at our x's first. I took care of my 2 and my 5. How many x's are there? 8. Well, and this one has 8 and this one has 5. So 8 plus 5 is what? 8 plus 5. 13. Very good. Then what else do I have written down? Y to the 10th. I don't have any others to add to it. Does everybody understand why we're adding the exponents? I mean, like, you have to understand that rule. Or really, you just have to know that that's the rule. Okay? You must stay. You must stay. All right, on this one, let's look at all of our numbers out front. -4 times 2 times 5. What is -4 times 2 times 5? Does everybody see those numbers out front?
40.
That is -40. You should already kind of tell what your answer is, right? Some of us can already tell what the answer is, but we're going to finish it. Make sure. Finish your problem and make sure. Now let's look at all the x's. I have 3 and -8. What is 3 plus -8? So I have x to the -5. I'm going to have to do something with that, right, in a minute. Now how many y's do I have? -2 plus 5.
3.
We have 3. So if you notice, there's no answer like that because what's the problem here? The x, yeah, it has a negative exponent. So I'm going to have my -40, my y to the 3rd stays, and I have to move my x to the 5th. So what answer is that one? B. Are we good with the first 10? We're like a third of the way done. Any questions, y'all? Do you not understand something? Now is the time to ask. I feel like you're flying through this. It's because y'all are so smart. Is that what you said? Well, good. I'm really expecting y'all to do good on this. Okay. On number 11. What is 7 times 7? 49. Now this is the first step. This is gonna be partial credit. We have 49. Now with the 10s having the same base, what are we gonna do with those exponents? Add them. What is 5 plus 2? 7. That is only partial credit. Because what's the problem? It's 49 and it's supposed to be 4.9. So if I move it one time to the left, that's going to be what? The 8th power. 4.9 times 10 to the 8th power. Okay? Oh, I do have that. All right, next one. 256 to the 1/4. Guess what you can do with that? You can just type it in your calculator and find the answer. Now, something that they're going to want you to know for Algebra 2, another way to write that is the 4th root of 256. But, y'all, you can type this in your calculator. I know, I have that Batteries are low. 256 to the 1/4. And it tells me what's my answer. 4. There it is. Everybody better get that right on your test. Just type in something in the calculator. Okay? If you have a different kind of calculator, you can still do this. I just don't know, like you'll have to figure out how to type it in your calculator, okay? But it will tell you the answer. I could have also typed in the 4th root of 256. Y'all might not know how to do that. 4th root of 256, and it's 4. That's another way to type it. Anyway, it's the same thing, but you can just start like that. Type that in your calculator. Okay, now we're moving on to the next set of rules we learned. For number 13, we have a power to a power. What do we do with that? Multiply. So that's going to be p to the what? 12. 6 times 2 is 12. We get p to the 12. Now on this one, I would break it up into 2 steps. The m to the 7th, I don't do anything with it just yet. But what about this one? What is 2 times negative 9? Negative 18. Is everybody good with my first step? First you multiply. Then what am I going to do with these 2 numbers? Or, yeah, add them. But it becomes what? Negative 11. Which, we can see the answer. What would I would have made you move it. But for some reason, so I might not put that one on there. I need to check that one. I'm not sure, but, because I don't like having a negative exponent. Okay? Oh, you like having the negative exponent? Y'all liked that problem?
Sure.
No, yes. Okay. I'll just see what's on there. I don't know if I'll make a new test or not. Okay. On this one, what do I do with the 4 and the 5? Multiply. You have to be able to see that. Okay? So it's negative h to the what? The 20th power. Okay? Now we're about to put several things together. I might write this on a separate sheet of paper so I have room. Is everybody okay so far? I'm going to move this and just rewrite it. This was my last class's problem. Does that look fun?
That looks extremely fun.
Okay, let's just stick to ours. All right, we have negative 5, g to the 4th, h to the 6th squared, and then g to the 5th, h to the 5th, to the 5th power. It's kind of, you can think of it like distributing it. That means multiplying it, okay? So I have this negative 5. It's basically to the 1 power. So I'm just going to have negative 5 squared. What is negative 5 squared? It should be a positive 25. Anytime you square something, make sure if you put that in your calculator, you do it like that. If you square a number, it should become positive, okay? So that's 25. And then it's g to the what? 4 times 2 is 8. H to the what? 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, let's keep going. Now I'm going to this one over here. There's no number. So what's g to the 5 times 5? Very good. And h to the 25th. Is everybody okay so far? Now I'm just going to, I still got my 25. Bring that number down. And g to the what power? I have 8 and 25. That is 33. H to the 12 and 25 is what? 37. So there's your answer. That one, what answer is that? I'm looking for it. C. Are we good with that? Yes? No, sure. Do I need to go over anything else so far? Maybe? Okay, I'll keep going at the end, though. If y'all need me to go over more, y'all can come see me or ask questions, whatever. Now we're moving on to division. Y'all, it's going to be in the same format, okay? Like it's going to be in this order. So, and for division, what's our rule? Subtract. So what is 11 minus 2? T to the 9th. That's our answer. That's it. Okay? Now on the next one, we're going to subtract again. We have what 2 letters? C and D. Those are our 2 variables. So for C, what is 9 minus 14? It should be a negative
-5.
-5. Okay, now for our D's, and we'll take care of that in a minute. Be very careful. What is -7 minus -10? It's 3. Be very careful. Use your calculator because you're subtracting. -7 minus -10. Watch. If I put it in my calculator. Yeah, so basically, I think in 8th grade you learned keep, change, change. But watch. On my calculator, I'm going to put -7 minus -10. And it is 3.
Why would you do that?
Because it's keep, change, change. Did y'all learn keep, change, change?
Which is what I feel that does.
-7 plus +10 would be a 3. This right here is your new best friend. It's your new best friend. Use it on every problem. Don't miss a problem because you thought you didn't need this. I use it all the time. Okay? Please use a calculator. If it's not this one, I mean any calculator, you can use them. It is your new best friend. Okay, so y'all, on this one, what's the problem with our answer?
It's negative.
It's not finished. We have a negative exponent. So which one matches this? C. What you do is you keep your D and you move your C.
Or you could do flip them. That's right.
Flip. Okay, but you still. Oh, yeah. Okay. Can I keep going? Oh, yeah. I know this is going so quick.
Was it B or C?
It was C. It was C. 18 is C. Look, and I'm videoing. So here's like, if y'all go back to the video and you need some of the answers, there's the first 16 answers. You can pause it if you're watching the video later. I hope this video works. And then there's the last bit of answers. But I'm going to go over all of them. I'm about to go over them. Okay, number 19. All right, this one, several steps. When the 3 is on the outside, that means I'm going to have to take everything to the third power. So what is 4 to the third power? Is that 64? Huh? It is 64. Trying to confuse me. Okay, now, what is, for my K, what is 4 times 3? 12. Okay, now what is 7 to the third power?
343.
343. And then this is 3 times 3, which is what? 9.
And it does not simplify.
It doesn't reduce? Okay, and yeah, that's what they got as well. Y'all, if you're confused on why I take 4 to the third power, it's basically because 4 and 7, oops, that's a C, are to the 1 power. So what's 1 times 3? That's why it's 4 to the third power, okay? Because so I'm skipping that step. So if you were confused, that's 4 to the third power, K to the 12th, 7 to the third power, C to the, I wrote all that down so wrong. C to the 9th. No, that is the third. C to the 9th. Anyway. Okay? But that's where those numbers come from. 4 to the third was 64. Anyway, just making sure you know that. On this one, this is one you can do in your calculator. Or some of you understand and know how to do these now. By the time you finish Algebra 2, you can do that in your head. The cube root of 27. It basically means what number are you multiplying times itself 3 times to get 27? Can anybody guess which number it would be? Like 3, because 3 times 3 times 3. But let's pretend we have no idea. Some of us don't. So look, we're going to type in, I'm not sure which, depending on your calculator, if I press my math button, it's on this one, it's called math. It's like the third one down. Do y'all see this third root right here? Where it's like the 3? What does this say right here? The third root, do y'all see how that matches? So if I press that, I could just type in 27 and it tells me it's 3. Now your calculator, if it's different, it should have something on there too. Okay, that's all you would do to find it. Or just know, what number am I multiplying times itself 3 times to get 27? Well, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So it's that answer. Okay? Are we good with that? Kind of, yes. I know it's been a while since we've done these. On the next one, is 3 raised to anything, or is it just out front? On this one right here. Does 3 have an exponent? It's just out there. So guess what? In your answer, the 3 is just going to be out front. That's kind of weird. Okay? It's not raised to that power. So I'm thinking it's definitely not that one. Now, the x is raised to the 3/8. Do you remember what the bottom number is? The bottom number, it's like a plant. It's a root. Okay? So I'm taking the 8th root. Which one of those shows an 8th root? A.
I told you.
The 8th root of x to the 3rd. That's something we'll really see a lot more of in Algebra 2. A lot more of it, okay? So all you have to remember is the 3's out front, so my 3 should be out front. My root is your bottom number, 8, so I'm looking for the 8th root, and then just write what's left over, x to the 3rd, okay? Now these we just did, so we should be really familiar with these. Are we adding the same number or multiplying? I'm adding. So what do I call that? Linear.
Wait, I wasn't here for this lesson.
So when you add the same number, it's just you're adding the same amount, like every time. It stays consistent. So it would be a straight line if I graphed it. That's what it looks like if you add the same number every time. Exponential, if you were multiplying, it's growing faster and faster and faster and faster. So exponential would not be a straight line. So if you're adding, it's linear. If you were multiplying each time, like about that times 2, times 2, times 2, then it would be exponential. What about number 23? Linear or exponential? Exponential. If x is in the exponent, it's exponential. That's all you're looking for. Look, is this one linear or exponential? Linear. Okay, that's the difference. Because is x in your exponent? No. Is x in your exponent? Yes. Exponential, that's something like what linear looks like. Okay?
Is there going to be more like number 24 in the test?
Probably this one. But look, this one's nice. All you're doing is plugging in. And it says x is in decades. What did they tell us? 2 decades. It's nice that they match. Since they match, you don't have to change it. So what do I plug in for x? 2. So it's just 3,800 times 2 to the 2nd power. So I would just type that in on my calculator. 3,800 times 2 to the 2nd power. There's your answer, $15,200. Okay, that's how much it's worth after 2 decades. It started with 3,800. In 20 years, it's 15,000. How did I plug? Why did I plug in 2? Okay, you got it? I know. Ask questions, y'all. Today is the day to ask questions. Okay. Tomorrow. Don't ask tomorrow. Tomorrow you're testing. Tomorrow I'm testing you. Okay. This one, it's really nice if you have a graphing calculator, but let's pretend we don't just yet. First of all, if this number is bigger than 1, it's growth. So which ones look like growth? B or D. You have narrowed it down without even graphing. Okay? We have narrowed it down. It's either B or D. Okay? What I would do is type in some numbers, and then I'll look at it with the calculator as well. Like, let's plug in 0. So if I had 3 times 5 to the 0, that's 3 times 1, which is 3. So if I plugged in 0, I got 3. Over 0, up 3. It looks like that one matches. Over 0, it looks like that one could even match. So I need to try another number. Y'all help me pick another number. What one do y'all want to pick?
4, 5.
I wouldn't go too high, or even like a negative 1, or
2.
or 1. Let's even just plug in 1.
Okay.
Okay? Let's plug in 1. 3 times 5 to the 1. What is 5 to the 1?
5.
So 3 times 5, and it's what? So if I plugged in 1, I got 15. So this one, if I go over 1, I am up at about 15. This one, if I go over 1, my goodness, I'm way off the chart at like probably 30 something. So which one's my answer? B. Okay.
I have that one.
You can also graph it if you have the calculator.
Brandy.
3
I got it.
times 5 to the x.
How do you do that?
Okay, go to y equals,
Y equals,
and then you type in exactly what it says. 3 times 5.
5,
And then the little to the button is this up arrow right here. And then the X is right by the green button. Okay? When you graph it, now be careful. Mine's going all the way out to 10 and negative 10. But if you're looking at about, you kind of have to match it. If I go over 1, where am I? It's kind of hard to tell. But if you press second graph, y'all, is everybody with me? Look up here. Sometimes it's hard to tell by just looking at your graph because you might think it's D just by looking at it. Press second graph. They give you a whole bunch of numbers to check. See how we were trying to plug them in? We don't have to do that. We could just come look right here. If I go over 1 and up 15, then I could have seen that was my answer.
I forgot how to do that.
Yeah, it's just second graph. You can always, like, I don't want you up here asking how to do a problem, but you can always ask me a calculator question.
Zoom in.
Alright, how do you go back?
Very good idea. Okay, so if you're on your graph, you can press zoom in, number 2,
Which enter it in.
and press enter again, he says. Look, he's teaching me. Look at that. Then you can kind of see what it looks like a little bit better. So on his graph, let me quit. Okay, let me go back to y equals graph. Let me zoom 6. I'm just going to zoom 6. Zoom 6 is standard. But I can press zoom in, and then press enter. And it kind of shows me a little bit better maybe some other areas of my graph. Like it makes it smaller. Because this is zoomed in a little bit. I'll teach you way more about this later, but I just try to do a little bit at a time. Like you can change your whole window. That's a little bit too much for today. Okay? Now, let's keep going. We've got 3 left. Okay? 3 left. We're almost done, y'all. Hang on. And then I'll let y'all look over your study guide for the rest of the day. This one, I kind of wrote right here the little equation you should use. So what's your starting amount?
8,000.
AB.
8,600. Yeah, so that's going to be your A. Y equals 8,600. Okay, what's your B?
3%.
It's 3%, but it's growth. So what do I have to do in front of that? I have to do 1.03, right? Because 3%, I'm going to write what 3% is right here. It's 0.03. And like Haley was saying, you have to put a 1 in front of it for it to be growth. And then how many years am I looking at? Instead of X up here, I'm going to put to the 3rd power. And I just type that in my calculator. You just have to know how to set it up. Let me quit that. I have messed up. Second quit. There we go. 8,600 times 1.03 to the 3rd. And do we see our answer? It looks like it's B. Yeah?
Yeah.
Everybody got B? Okay. Are we ready for 27? And I put the equation for you there. Didn't I? So what's my starting amount on number 27? 2,100. So I'm saying, okay, it's 2,100.
Couldn't we use the same thing we used for 26?
You actually can, because it's compounded annually. Once a year, you can on number 27. I'm going to do it this way, but yes. But now on 28, you can't because it's not compounded once a year. It's compounded what? Quarterly messes it up, okay? But on number 27, Haley, you try it your way, but I'm still going to do it this way, okay? Now, what's my rate on this one? 4%. And if it's compounded annually, does everybody know that that means once a year? Yes, annually just means once a year. Okay? And then this is times 1 times t. I mean, to the 1 times t. Time is 4. So if I kind of work this out and simplify it, we'll get what Haley got. That's just 1.04, 1 plus 0.04 to the 4th power. So Haley was saying this one's just way easier. If I type that in, what do I get on 27? It's this should be your answer on 27 if you type that in your calculator. So on this one, you could have done it just like the one before, or you can use this formula. Now we have to use that formula on number 8. Okay? Any questions on 27?
So do you need to write the
Uh-huh.
decimal?
For-
Write the decimal?
Like for your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
like-
It says 702,976. So
Oh,
write
0.70, because you're thinking in money. So it's 0.702, so you don't round up, right? Is that what it was 0.702? So you don't round up. Okay, last one. All right, we're going to use this compounded quarterly. So what's my starting amount on this one? 700 times 1 plus, what's my rate? So I've got to do 0.0225. How many times a year?
6.
No, well, it's after 6 years, but quarterly is how many? How many quarters in a dollar? 4. Quarterly is 4. And then you have to do, I'm just following this formula right here, times 4, to the 4 times, yes, t is 6. Does everybody understand why it's 4 times 6 up there?
What was the 4?
Because it has n times t.
What's in?
N is how many times a year is it compounded. So we're using this formula. That's why we put the rate over n. That rate over how many times a year? 4 times a year. That's why I have to put the n up here times the t. Now we're going to break this down, okay? In my calculator, I'm going to do 0.0225 divided by 4. So I can change this number in here. Is everybody okay with that? So I'm going to bring down my 700, and this is 1 point, because see, I have my 1 out here. And what number am I going to use? I'll just go 4 decimal places. 0056. Is everybody okay with that?
You got 0, 0.
And everybody understands why my 1's out front, right? Because what do I have right here? A 1 plus. So that's why I have my 1. And I just divided that in my calculator. And then what's 4 times 6? 24. So now it looks just like number 26 and just like 27. So I want you to type that in.
Which means 4.
Where did I get the 4? Okay, because it says compounded quarterly. So your n, look, it's right here and it's right here. So my 4 must go right here and where else? Right here. Does that make sense? You will have that equation tomorrow. Did you not get the right answer?
I got 800 right now. That's not the answer to
That's not the answer on here.
Well, close enough. 887.
I mean, there's 799 and there's 800.
Hold on, let me see. 2.25.
How many someone is this?
I got 0.056. I didn't get 2 zeros.
Oh, well, let me make sure 0.0225. Maybe I... 0.0225.
I got 0056.
I did too.
I did 1
700 times...
plus.
Hold on. I get 800.87. Y'all did not? Okay, the reason I did, all right, y'all, is because I told y'all just to go to 4 decimals. When I went to 6 decimals, I get that exact answer. But let me see what I get at just 4 decimals. 0.0056 to the 24th times 700. So I see why. I'm getting $800.40. But the reason is because I went to 4 decimals. Y'all, when I went out to 6 decimals, which is ridiculous, I got C. But can y'all get close enough and understand? Yes. If you have a question, no, Ben, you can't. If you have a question on that tomorrow, ask me. Okay, y'all can take the rest of the day to look at your study guide. Y'all feel free to come ask me questions.